Hello, it's Mark again, Acquiring Christianity. We are seeing, I know people won't believe this, we are seeing the destruction. Let me turn my viewfinder so I can see myself better. We are seeing the destruction of the dollar. There will be no dollar in the future. Alex Jones has talked about this, and people are starting to realize that some of what Alex Jones said is coming true and is true. If you look up Euro, or not Euro, but the Amero, you can see pictures of the Amero, and they say it was done by an artist. There's supposed to be some artist making the Amero, and they say, well, it's just a joke, it's just a gag. You know, and they say again and again, they'll say, you know, this is a conspiracy theorist theory. We're not going to have the Amero. Same thing with Donald Trump's election. They said, or Donald Trump's attempt at re-election, they said there was no collusion. There was no, you know, there was an honest election. You know, the most popular president in history was elected. Donald Trump supposedly got the most votes of a sitting president, but he still lost. And supposedly, the most popular president in history, President Joe Biden, we got the most votes anybody's ever gotten in history, 80 million votes. 80 million votes, because he was so popular, supposedly. But we'll get the Amero. I know people don't believe that. We'll have the North American Union. I saw something on a video, I might have been on YouTube, about the North American Union, or not the North American Union, but the USMCA, which is the agreement between Canada, Mexico, and the United States. US, United States, M, Mexico, CA, Canada. Supposed to be a better agreement than NAFTA. You know, and Ross Perot warned us about NAFTA. For people to remember Ross Perot, he said it'll bring illegal waves of illegal immigrants up through Mexico. They'll come over here through the southern border, and he was right. NAFTA brought up all these illegal aliens, and now we have the USMCA agreement, which people have said, well, this is the North American Union. And we're close to it. They want to there are supposed to be 10 kings in Revelation, and 3 fell and were replaced by another king. So that king would be the Antichrist, and he will rule from Rome. I know people don't believe. Do some research on this. Research Revelation and research the Amero and the North American Union. Originally, they talked about the North American Union going down into South America and taking in I think Peru, maybe Argentina, or at least Chile, I think. But it is coming. People can see they're wrecking the dollar. I mean, a lot of people can't. You know, it depends on what news you listen to and how aware you are, but they're wrecking the dollar. There was a news piece that said in California there was a house that rented for $800 last year, and then now it's renting for $2,600. We're getting inflation. It's not hyperinflation yet, but we're getting so severe inflation. You know, I buy a box of pasta, which used to cost me $1 maybe 5 or 10 years ago. A box of pasta would cost me $1. Now it's costing about $1.29, $1.39, $1.49. Pizzas I used to get for $2.49 last year, or not last year, but a few months ago, I got it for $2.49, are costing about $2.99 now, and that's been about a few months. It used to be able to get pasta for like 60 cents or 59 cents, but back in the 90s, or a bag of beans that used to buy a bag of beans for 99 cents, now it's about $1.39, and that's happened about the last few years. I don't think it's just Joe Biden's spending, but it's Trump's spending on this stimulus package. Bush did the same thing when he was in office. Bush 42, 40, Bush 41, because 45 was Trump, 44 was Obama, 43, Bush 43 was doing a lot of spending, and they put the money in this Fort Knox or whatever. They put this money in this they put the money in this fort, in this financial fort or whatever it is. They put this money in a vault, and they opened the vault during Bush's administration, and all the money was gone. You know, the money that people talk about spending for infrastructure, it's just paying off buddies. Trump did it too. I'm sure he did. But Biden is just paying off buddies with this infrastructure stuff. You know, people lobby. That's what a lobbyist does. He says, I'll give you, they say they just want to influence people, but they say, I'll give you money if you'll pass this bill. And they pass it. But over control of all that, we have the Illuminati and the Council of 300, and the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds, and they said, you know, there was a video about this. I don't know where I can find it. It might not be up anymore. They said they'd make us sick, and when we come to them to get well, they'll make us sicker. And I see that, you know, the obesity rate in the United States is higher than when I was a kid. When I was a kid, if you saw a fat person, you could say that fat person over there. Now if you say a fat person, people don't know who you're talking about, because I'm fat and other people are fat. They trust in the chemicals that people get. In the United Kingdom, they call them chemists. Or, you know, they call going to the pharmacy going to the chemist. And why you want things in your body that are not food, including the vaccine, why you want someone to pump something in your body they say is good when it's already caused problems. There was somebody that died from getting the vaccine. You know, and there was a doctor who put out a report. He wanted to publish a report about how he had, with vitamin C and with breathing machines, with what do they call those things? With breathing machines, with ventilators and vitamin C, he gotten all his COVID patients cured with vitamin C and breathing machines. And he published the article, and he said, well, you can't publish this article, it's not been proved. The government went back and said, you can't publish this article, it hasn't been peer reviewed. And so he got it peer reviewed, and he published it again. The government said, you can't publish this article because you can't publish these findings because, you know, nobody died in your experiments. He says, well, I'm not going to let somebody die just to prove a point. So people are dying from the coronavirus when basically what they need is vitamin C. I think I had the vitamin. I think I had the coronavirus. I took some vitamin. I think I had the coronavirus. I took some vitamin C, and I'm fine. And if everybody's getting the coronavirus, I don't understand why we're stopping the economy. This is to spend more. You know, Trump would have done it if he'd been told to. He was definitely under the power of the Illuminati. He was definitely an Illuminati or a Mason or whatever. I imagine he was Illuminati. And he kept flashing these hand symbols that was showing he was Illuminati. And people still love him for some reason. I mean, I like some of his policies, but he got us into USMCA agreement. Somebody said in a video, I don't know whether I finished saying this, somebody said in a video, the USMCA agreement is joining the United States, Canada, and Mexico. You know, Donald Trump said it was fair, said it was an excellent deal. You know, it's coordinating the joining of the USA, Canada, and Mexico. That's why it's called the USM Mexico CA Canada Agreement. It's supposed to join these three countries. If you look this up about the North American Union or about the Amero, they'll say no, there have been no plans for that at all. You know, even though Vicente Fox, the president of Mexico, was talking about this, he said there's been no plans, nobody's made any plans. This is a hoax. It's not a hoax. We're going to see the crash of the dollar. If you look at videos, you can find these on YouTube, where it talks about hyperinflation. Typing US hyperinflation, you can find stuff that talks about hyperinflation. There was somebody like Jack Dorsey or somebody, I think it was Jack Dorsey, one of the big tech guys. He said hyperinflation is coming. And hyperinflation is when you have over 100% inflation in a year. That means that a hot dog, you go to Dogs and Suds or whatever the place is, a hot dog costs you $1 one year, costs you $2 next year, costs you $4 next year, costs you $8 next year. People cannot keep savings. What they want to do is impoverish the country so they can bring in communism. We're seeing communism. They've been talking about communism, and a lot of people think it's a good idea. Socialism and communism are about the same thing. And what we're going to have is the Amero Currency. And then they're going to tell us, about that time they'll tell us, when we have the Amero Currency, that we're united, one country, United States, Canada, and Mexico. I read an article about the North American Union, and about I think it had something about the Amero in it. Or I think it was about the Amero, maybe it was about the Amero, but it might have been about the North American Union. And they give a suggestion at the end. They said, well, back in the day, you know, they would have thought it was wildly impossible that one state would have a common currency, the dollar, would have a common currency with other states. Because like, let's say Massachusetts would have one currency, New Hampshire would have another currency, Georgia would have another currency. And that's where we're getting to, you know. And they said, well, they never would have imagined they would have the dollar. That's how they ended the talk about the Amero. They said, well, they never would have imagined they would have had a common currency among all the states. Because the states back then were separate countries. And if you look at the principles of communism, the 10 points of communism, one of them is public education. A lot of people say that are supposed to be conservative, a lot of people say, well, I got to take my kids got to get to school, got to get an education from the government. Government public education, government government ownership of all property, of all physical property, of all land property, all buildings. That's what we're moving to. Public education, government owning all land, restricting of religion, which they've done. They've taken religion out of the schools. You know, you get in trouble if you're a teacher. Which has happened when I was a kid. When I was a kid, we prayed together in schools. We prayed before lunch, thanking God for our lunch. You know, if you do that today as a teacher, you're going to have some big problems. They talk about separation of church and state. But they're trying to take God out of everything, so supposedly for reasonable reasons, because there might be some atheist children or some atheist parents of the children in their schools. They're taking God out of education. They're replacing it with sex. I remember my sex education. They showed a penis. They showed a silk screen of a penis getting erect. They had a silk screen like a shadow of a penis getting erect. You know, and it's probably I'm sure it's worse now than what it was back in the 80s when I was coming up. But what they want is a secular society, what they call a secular society, although we'll have the Antichrist, which will not exactly be non-religious. a society that is unreligious, and that's what we're getting. When the Illuminati was founded, you can look this up. Winesap, something like that. Adam Wine something. The Illuminati. They talked about they wanted the original goals of the Illuminati were to get rid of superstition and to make people less religious, and they've done that. People go to church, but they don't have prayer vigils, or they don't, they're not worshiping on the ground. Their idea of worship in church is to, maybe lift up your hands and sing a song. Whereas if you look at the wise men, and you look at the original Greek, the wise men came and fell down at Jesus' feet, or fell down in front of the Christ child. Same thing in John 9. The blind man who was healed fell down at Jesus' feet. Jesus said, do you believe in the Son of Man to him? And he said, who is he that I may believe? Who is he, sir, that I may believe? And he said, you have both seen him, and he is the one who was talking to you. And the man fell down and said, sir, I believe.